Have you ever wondered why some people only seem to appreciate your presence when you finally disappear? It's strange, isn't it? When you're always there, answering, supporting, showing up, no one seems to notice. But the moment you go silent, the world starts to echo. Suddenly, you're important. Suddenly, they miss you. But the truth is, they don't miss you. They miss the version of you they were benefiting from. And that, right there, is where the ciphered mind begins to decode. You see, presence, when given without measure, becomes noise. Predictability makes you invisible. And emotional availability, when not protected, turns into a weapon against you. What if the greatest power you hold is your absence? Imagine this. You stop replying right away. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to be understood. The atmosphere shifts. People get uncomfortable. They begin projecting. They wonder, what happened? Did I do something wrong? You didn't say a word. You didn't attack. You just withdrew. And yet, the silence speaks louder than any confrontation could. This is the psychology of energetic control, passive power, where the refusal to engage becomes the most threatening response of all. Because most people aren't reacting to you, they're reacting to the loss of access. Let me ask you something. How many times have you said yes, just to avoid being judged? How many conversations have you continued just to avoid being abandoned? How many moments have you betrayed your intuition just to avoid making someone else uncomfortable? Every time you do that, you sacrifice a piece of yourself. And like sand slipping through your fingers, you don't notice the loss until it's too late. The ciphered mind must learn this first law. Your energy is not a public resource. When you make yourself emotionally available to everyone, you become emotionally valuable to no one. Think about the last time someone took you for granted. Was it when you were hard to reach or when you were always reachable? The paradox is cruel. The more they can count on you, the more they discount you. And here's the twist. You taught them how to treat you. You responded instantly. You gave when you were empty. You stayed when you wanted to leave. Not because they deserved it, but because you were afraid of what their absence might say about your worth. But here's a cipher most never crack. People respect what they fear losing. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we disown. But what if the most powerful shadow isn't what you hide from the world? It's what you stop giving to it? Imagine becoming emotionally elusive, not as a manipulation, but as a form of self-respect. Not cold, not distant, but sovereign. You don't pull away in anger. You pull back in awareness, because the cost of being always available is living in emotional debt. So what happens when you finally stop performing? When you stop being the fixer, the responder, the peacemaker, you become a mirror, a threat, a mystery. They can no longer read you. They can no longer predict you. And people fear what they can't control. That fear? That's where your psychological leverage lives. The ciphered mind doesn't chase. It observes. It sees who clings, who blames, who provokes. Not because you hurt them, but because you no longer serve them. Let's pause and consider something deeper. Why do you feel responsible for how others feel about you? Why does silence make you anxious? Why does detachment feel like guilt? Because you were conditioned to believe that your emotional labor is a moral obligation. But it's not. The truth is, many people don't want you. They want access. They want your compliance. Your presence is their control panel, and every button is emotional predictability. But when you disconnect that panel, something powerful happens. They panic. Not because you're gone, but because they can't pull from you anymore. Let's go further. Every time you feel the need to justify yourself, every time you apologize for creating space, every time you explain your silence, you reinforce the illusion that you owe the world an explanation for protecting your energy. But you don't. You owe yourself clarity, stillness, sovereignty. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of reclaiming yourself from the roles you've been trained to play. Roles like the helper, the empath, the loyal one. These aren't identities. They're scripts, and they're exhausting you. Let me share a quiet truth. The less available you are, the more clearly you see who values you for you and who values you for your function. Your silence filters the fake. Your absence reveals the leeches. Your boundaries expose the emotional debt collectors. And here's where it gets even more disturbing. They won't call it self-respect. They'll call it selfishness. They'll say, "You've changed." But you didn't change. You just stopped feeding systems that drained you. You unplugged from emotional economies that never gave you a return. You became expensive, unpredictable, mysterious. And in the ciphered mind, mystery is currency. So, how do you reclaim this power? Start with this question. Where is my energy leaking? Is it the friend who only texts when they're in crisis? The coworker who vents but never listens? The partner who says they love you, but only when you're pleasing them? Every leak is a loss of psychic power. Every reaction is a payment. And the ciphered mind learns to pause before it pays. You don't have to cut people off in anger. You cut them off in clarity. You don't owe access to everyone. You offer it, selectively, deliberately, sovereignly. This isn't isolation. It's elevation. You begin to realize your attention is not a gift. It's an investment. And some people are simply bad investments. So now I ask you, what if your silence is the most honest thing you've ever said? What if your absence is the first boundary they've ever felt from you? Because once you stop being emotionally convenient, you stop being emotionally disposable. This is the cipher. This is the code. And now that you've heard it, you can never unhear it. If this resonated with you, don't just keep scrolling. Tap into the ciphered mind. Subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, your energy is sacred. Protect it, or they will use it to power their own survival.